What is up, YouTubes? We are here to answer the question of should you buy the Neon Dynasty Commander decks? Wizards releases new Commander decks now with at least new every expansion set, and there are all kinds of new cards being printed, old cards being reprinted, and we gotta be more discerning about what we add to our collection and figure out, is it worth buying or not? Upgrades Unleashed is about 35 bucks, Buckle Up is 45, or you can get the combo for 75 bucks from Card Kingdom. And when you go there, you should use my affiliate link to buy whatever it is you decide on, because that'd be awesome of you, and it'd also be awesome if you liked and subscribed to the channel. But for now, let's get into reviewing these decks. I will review the general gameplay and strategy behind what each is doing. I'll go over the top new cards, the most valuable reprints, do a review of how they play, and then I'll end with why you should or should not buy them. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Let's get into it. Upgrades Unleashed is a different approach to the Gruul color breakdown deck we're used to seeing. Normally, Red-Green is all about playing big creatures and making them bigger. This one is about, maybe it's not that different. Still focuses on playing creatures and making them bigger, but does so by utilizing two new features of Neon Dynasty. First is the reconfigure mechanic. They're creatures, which can also count as equipment or turn into equipment. In our commander, Chishiro says each time an aura or equipment ETBs, we get a spirit creature token. And the other paragraph says, or cares about, the modified piece. So every creature that's modified at our end step gets a 1/1 counter on it. So Chishiro helps us build up and build out our board. It's the same endgame, but a unique way of doing it, and the commander gives us a lot of flexibility in how we go about it. The other new commander option is Kaima the Fractured Calm, which goads our opponent's creatures we have equipped. This card is awesome. It's one I will definitely be buying as a single because I love goading my opponents into playing Magic, and not just dirtling until they hit their combo or whatever they're trying to do. We are here for combat, but the pre-con doesn't lean much into this ability, so I'd say swapping it in as your commander would not be that effective. I just like it for the unique Voltron strategy it can support once you're ready to build something else or go down that line. Now, getting into the value of the deck, our most expensive new cards at the time of this video being made, which of course these prices fluctuate quite a bit around release time. We have Kaima the Fractured Calm is around 4 bucks. Silk Guard, which is this great new instant speed, pump, and protection spell, it's around 3. Collision of Realms is around 3 bucks as well, and a card I expect to climb. I just think it's got a lot of potential outside of this deck. And then Rampant Rejuvenator, close to 2 bucks, but I think could land in the $5+ range soon enough. I think green always benefits from having more ramp and protection options. I don't see any of these cards really exploding in value, but I would not be surprised at all to see them maintain value in that $5 to $10 range. Now, our most valuable reprints are, well, they're not that exciting, but we have Rhythm of the Wild around 2 bucks, Whiptongue Hydra and Rishkar's Expertise are both around 4, and Bear Umbra is around 6 bucks. So, I mean, not bad, but not the most impressive reprint value in a deck. So let's jump into what I like and dislike. All the new cards seem fun. They're solid plays in the deck, while also showing potential to be used in other decks. If I swap out these cards in the pre-con for other cards I want to play, I don't think they're lost forever. They're not super inefficient that I'll never use them again. Unquenchable Fury, for example, says, that doesn't make sense for this deck. It's talking about Minotaurs. Is that right? Oh, so it's not that card. It's a similar named card. So okay. Anyway, let's just jump into a quick overview of the deck and the cards that are in it. We have our commander Chorizo. Well, I'm going to call him Chorizo, even though it's Chishiro. Chorizo is just, I think, a funnier name and a much more delicious food. Anyway, the way we modify creatures is with 1/1 counters. Typically, we're going to see some cards that we've seen in the expansion set, like Orochi Merge Keeper. We have our Gold Enchantment, Invigorating Hot Springs as well. There's some solid cards in here. All the new cards, though, one of my favorite things about this deck is all the new cards are just fun. This one gives it +2/+2 in Menace, which also, when it's equipped or whatever, deals combat damage. You get to goad each creature that player controls. This is one of my favorite cards out of either deck, just because I think it's fun and hilarious and just gets people, again, playing Magic as it should be, in combat. A lot of the green cards are doing what green loves to do, which is add counters to stuff and ramp. Fire Shrieker, like this, would definitely be an auto upgrade that I'm sure you have a better equipment in your collection you could throw in here. Mage Slayer's not bad, it's just on color, so I guess it belongs in the deck. Sword of Vengeance is okay, Bone Horde is okay. Of course, we have the other problem, which is 2 of the same lands. You'll have to swap this out to keep it legal, because Wizards' quality control on this deck was garbaggio. But regardless of how the quality control is, at the end of the day, these are so minor things, I don't even care. It's just fun to poke fun at them, you know? We can also see it has a pretty solid curve going on. We've got a couple ramp pieces, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet. I'd like to see at least one more mana rock, maybe two. I like to have my lands and mana rocks add up to about 40, but when you're in green and you have as much ramp as this deck has, or cards like Rishgar, which help your things with 1/1 counters, which are, or is, a focus of the deck, you know, you have enough ways to make sure you hit plenty of land drops. You're never at a loss of mana. And yeah, I just think overall this looks like a fun thing. It's got some removal in it. We got Beast Within, Chaos Warp to handle those big bodies. We got board wipes with Chain Reaction, and a newish one, that Collision of Realms. It's a solid deck. 35 bucks, not too shabby. What I don't like about it, honestly, is the same as what I don't like about the other decks, so I'll save those complaints for after. Let's jump back and review Buckle Up, the blue-white vehicle deck led by Kotori, Pilot, Prodigy. And the other option is Shorikai, Genesis Engine. Both are perfectly suitable to be your commander in this deck. Both lean into the vehicle's archetype well, and I typically like Shorikai more than Kotori, just because I think it's a better commander. So I would recommend swapping them, trying them both out as your commander if you're going to be playing this deck out of the box, and see which one you like more. It is nice to have two solid options, though. So jumping into the highest value of our new cards, we have Drumblower. It's about an $8 card, and one I expect to hold its value, or only go up if anything, because a 3 mana for a spirit, which is a meaningful creature type, and one that has an effect of untapping all of our creatures during each player's untap step. There's a lot of potential there with other effects that tap your creatures for something, or you just need your creatures untapped for. Our other card, which is the most expensive card between either deck, Swift Reconfiguration, the most expensive card by far of either deck, coming in at around 15-16 bucks. And for white mana, we get to flash in an enchantment aura that essentially locks down a creature in a weird way. There's just a lot of flexibility with this card, a lot of potential with it. This is where we see Wizards pushing cards. Being 1 white mana, having flash, enchanting any creature, it's going to be an expensive card. My biggest complaint, the flavor text. I want the flavor text to make sense with the lore or the story or the immersion into the game, and text that says, oh, on the bright side, the bear now has cup holders. If anything, it reminds me that I need to go change my oil, which I don't want to do because I'm lazy. Kappa Cannoneer is around 4 bucks. Imposter Mech is an imposter vehicle, I guess. It's like a Transformer then. A Decepticon even. It's around $3.75. And then moving on to our most expensive reprints, which I would say again here, don't get your hopes up. We got Psy Master Thopterist, Emery Lurker of the Lock, Swords to Plowshares, and Mirage Mirror, with Mirror being the most expensive at almost $5. Just not that excited about the reprints. Now, to give a quick overview of what's happening with Buckle Up, not a ton of just unique things happening. We've got our pilot commander here, got a lot of low-cost creatures, which is great, because if you're trying to crew stuff, if you're trying to get stuff into that creature mode, you need other creatures to do it. And it's often helpful if you can play multiple things. The Murs are nice because they help ramp you. Like her Foundry Inspector makes stuff cost less. Soul Ring, Arcane Signet. I like that they threw a Signet in this deck. That makes life a little easier. Also Plow. Maybe one day I'll actually crew this thing and attack with it in a game of Magic. I've yet to ever actually do it. Maybe this deck will have me finally do that. Belwar Stone is actually a really nice mana rock that you're going to use in any deck. So overall, I feel like they've got the early game nailed down pretty good. I just don't think all the vehicles they threw in here are all that exciting or impressive. Like Raider's Carve is, I mean, I had a rough time playing with it in Limited. There's plenty of vehicles that we could upgrade this deck with. Weatherlight's fine, Sky Sovereign, Console Flagship's fine, Parhelion 2's, sure. But it just feels like the vehicles we have in here, it still leaves a lot to be desired. So there's one idea for an upgrade, but they also give you some good solid pieces like SRAM. SRAM is good in any deck that involves white and anything related to artifacts, equipments, or vehicles. He's not even $1 anymore, he's 50 cents SRAM. They just reprinted you too much, Mimigo. We've got the classic good removal like Swords to Plowshares, and actually Dispatch is, I mean, overall, another 1 white instant speed removal spell, always nice. It's a bit more conditional. Actually, it's quite more conditional because you have to have 3 artifacts. It has to be a tapped creature, but we can make that happen. We got Generous Gift. Like, there's some decent removal. It doesn't have quite the board white potential. You might want to throw something like a Wrath of God in here just to have better access to get rid of everything. It's here to help handle your opponent's threats. You have some big stuff and either win with maybe some flyers or just having the biggest creature on the board. This deck, like, it just feels a little clunkier. Maybe that's one of my complaints about this deck specifically, is it doesn't feel like it comes together all that well. Jace, Architect of Thought being here is kind of random. I don't know. It just feels like, yeah, this deck's kind of clunky, even though it has these 2 cards that Wizards knew would be seen as quite pushed and valuable and useful in other decks. Drumblower and Swift Reconfiguration. I mean, these 2 cards, in my opinion, really carry this deck. If you're looking at why is it worth the $45. If it just comes to, hey, do you want to play a commander vehicle deck? Yes, I'm here for it. But that takes me to what my biggest dislike of these decks continues to be, is the land base is so uninspiring. It feels lazy to me. Like, why is it so difficult to throw even one of the tapped fetch lands in and then make up a new land? Maybe it's this land is fetchable and ETB's untapped, if you control a vehicle, or same for the upgrades unleashed. Have a land that if you control a modified creature, it comes into play untapped as a dual land. Maybe it's fetchable, maybe it's not. You can easily improve these decks with 1 or 2 land cards being a little better. You can increase the value, throw a shock land in these as opposed to like Temples of Enlightenment and whatever. You know what I mean? That's my biggest gripe with these things. But I want to end on a positive note. I will say Kamigawa felt like there was some jank that was just missing in the expansion set a little bit, just a little bit. And I feel like you found that flexibility in that just new, creative, cool card in these commander decks. Like Kaima, I think is awesome. I'm so excited to build a deck with that. For the first time ever, Shorakai makes me want to play and build a vehicle deck. All in all, I think these commander decks did really well. I'm a little disappointed in the value. There's a few things you could tweak as soon as you open it. Maybe that's a good thing. It gets you excited to open your deck, play it a little bit, and see where you want to push it to make it better for how you like to play the game, which gets me into the next question. Should you buy these? Upgrades Unleashed, I think, is a solid value deck at 35-ish bucks. Just a really solid intro deck with cards you will use in the deck or outside it, and if you are new to Magic or want a red-green deck to add to your collection, I think it's as good an option as you will find for the price. For Buckle Up, for 45 bucks, I'm not as convinced. It's one I'd recommend. The cards are good, and the foundation it gives you, the ramp pieces and such, the Artifact Matter cards are fine, and some of the new cards are great, but most of the new cards will not work well outside of this deck in other builds, which can be fine. You know, you don't often have multiple artifact decks or multiple vehicle decks in the same collection. The thing is just if you or when you swap cards out, you're just never going to find another home for them. So if you're only looking to buy one deck, I would recommend the Upgrades Unleashed. If you want the higher value, go with Buckle Up. Maybe you don't have a vehicle deck, it'll be a good foundation for you. Either way, I don't think you can go wrong buying either for 35, 45 bucks for a full built, ready to play commander deck. That's just pretty solid price. If you're going to play with it, get that fun and value out of it, by all means go for it. But if you just want to go the singles route too, I feel like we focused on the ones that are the most worth picking up. You can just grab those and not get the whole deck or get the chaff that you're just never going to play with anyway. But all in all, I think Wizards did a pretty solid job here. I'm excited to see how these play. Let me know if you play with them and how they go for you. But that's going to do it for me, folks. I really appreciate y'all watching. Use that Card Kingdom link below for picking up whatever you decide on and whatever you do go with. I hope you have a lot of fun playing with it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.